For those of you that are new to the channel, you probably don't remember this. However, for a lot of you that have been around for a bit of time and a subscriber of the channel, then you probably remember this going all the way back to 2024. We are coming up on almost 2 years since these updates from Steven. But the main thing is that there was a guarantee that ETHgate would break big. Now, Steven Narayov, the interesting thing about this individual is that he was one of the early creators of Ethereum. He was one of the key developers in Ethereum. Now, the crazy thing is that he was telling us that ETHgate was a real thing. He blew the lid off of everything that we were speculating on since going all the way back to 2020 when the lawsuit first dropped, which was the fact that, Ripple and XRP are being targeted. There's a big issue here. Now, he did say here that I made a guarantee that ETHgate would break big. If you listen to this spaces, we are there. Stay the course. Look at the people we have focusing on this now. Humbled to be a part of what we have collectively turned into a movement. Now, if we're looking at the screenshots here that he has, let me open this up in a new tab. Basically, he was tagging Eleanor Tourette regarding this. Now, if you guys do remember Eleanor saying that this was basically, a big nothing, event that, this is not happening, whatever the case. She tried to just sweep it under the rug. I'm not targeting Eleanor or anything like that. I'm just saying she didn't really want to report on it. I don't know why. But it's interesting that the main story here was trying to be covered up. Everyone was trying to silence anyone that was talking about ETHgate. If you were talking about it, oh, you're just making things up. XRP is a security, Ripple's a scam. They are a bankers, company. Who cares about them? They're not real to crypto. All of a sudden, everything started to change in 2024 when Bitcoin Maxi was supporting BlackRock getting in on the game. Again, you'll love to see that. But, the main thing that we were looking at was, the, clear fraud that was happening from the SEC. I mean, we go all the way back to August of 2022. This is how long, it's been going all the way back to 2020, but this is how long we've been following this for. Where Crypto Law US basically posted a video clip saying, did William Hinman commit a crime? He ignored the legal warnings from SEC Gov Ethics and met with Simpson Thatcher again and again. It's time for an investigation. Connect to Congress and demand your lawmakers support an investigation. Now, if you guys don't know, Simpson Thatcher was a major supporter of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and both Hinman and also Jay Clayton both went to Simpson Thatcher after they left the SEC, after, again, multiple lawsuits against competing companies to Ethereum and even Bitcoin technically. But also, let's not forget that on Jay Clayton's way out, drops the lawsuit against Ripple and XRP. Now, a lot of people speculated for years that XRP was targeted by some pretty big names. Nobody ever mentioned their names, but today we know that this is true. But let's go back to February of 2024 where Steven quoted that video clip. He said the SEC Gov has undoubtedly obstructed the progress of crypto and compromised integrity across our industry and the entire financial marketplace. Their decisions consistently fail to align with the best interests of American investors. What more needs to be said? Holding a position of authority does not grant the license to manipulate and exploit power for personal gain. The battle is just heating up. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Steven himself was being silenced, or at least attempted, to be silenced. And this is coming from somebody who was an early dev around Ethereum, somebody who, was there for the creation of Ethereum, that was blowing the lid off this thing. This was completely different than an XRP influencer or, a Ripple employee saying, oh, hey, this was happening. No, this is an Ethereum dev that was there at the beginning saying this. Now, I bring up all of this because just recently, the Epstein files dropped. And by now, it's not new news, but yes, this is now officially confirmed. We were right for over 6 years. XRP, influencers and XRP holders were made, to look like clowns that, oh, this is not happening. You're just jealous of Ethereum, even though XRP has flipped Ethereum multiple times throughout the years. We have over here from Bill Morgan, 2020. Interesting times. Gensler's name popping up on May 6th, 2018. The little toady ingratiating with Warren. And the bank-loving and crypto-hating Warren wing of the Democrats. And just weeks before the Hinman Ethereum Free Pass speech on June 13th, 2018, and just before or after the start of the SEC's investigation into Ripple sales of XRP, not saying any connection, but interesting timing given the 2014 email that is circulating showing Epstein's aversion to XRP and Ripple and XLM and Stellar. That's right. It's not just about XRP, but also XLM. For people that don't know, XLM and XRP very much closely reflect the same price action. So when the XRP lawsuit dropped, it also hurt XLM technically too. But if we're looking at this screenshot here, this is all regarding Gensler's name. We have here, I know Gary. Worked for me at Treasury in the 1990s. Goldman Sachs partner before that. Pretty smart. Made a lot of people mad by tossing a bunch of 1990s policy under bus to ingratiate with lib Democrats, especially Warren Wing. Different views on his CFTC chairmanship. Was very involved with Hillary campaign and angling for jobs. Very interesting. Now, let's go over here. Previous Ripple CTO David Schwartz saying, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is just the tip of a giant iceberg. The sad part is, we really are in this together, and this kind of attitude hurts everyone in the space. This got 1.8 million views. People are finally waking up to what's really happening behind the scenes. Here we have the subject. This is from Austin Hill. Subject, Stellar isn't so stellar. Hi guys, we obviously have seen stellar.org, the actual Stellar XLM website. I'm not sure what the relationship with Jed and the team are. I know obviously some of the players, but this is a problem for us. Would one of you please give me a call at, I can explain some of the issues, but basically I've been asked by other co-founders to reduce or take your allocation away. Ripple and Jed's new Stellar are bad for the ecosystem. We are building, and it does our company damage to have investors who are backing two horses in the same race. Happy to discuss a fair way to deal with this. Best, Austin. Now, you might be asking, well, how does this have anything to do with the XRP lawsuit? Like, who are these people? Well, we have over here for context, Austin co-founded Blockstream, arguably one of the biggest Bitcoin companies at this time. Reid Hoffman was an investor in this venture as well. But wait, let's not forget who's really scared of Ripple and Stellar. Oh yeah, that's right, the big banks. Well, surely there's nothing on the big banks in the Epstein list, right? Over here. This is all from Cowboy Crypto 313, by the way. Email to Epstein referring to Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan CEO, as his chum, aka close friend, not looking good for JPM. Yeah. This is wild. Jeffrey, I thought I would send you this just in case it might be of interest. Now, this is regarding two founding partners at this capital company. Now we have down here that Robert was in the SAS and won the Military Cross for gallantry. No mean feats. He was then recruited by your chum. So, hey, aka close friend, Jamie Dimon, to help motivate middle management at JP Morgan. Apparently, Jamie Dimon asked General David Petraeus who would be the best man for the job, and he said, Rob Bissett Cross. Very, very interesting. I thought if you were still in Paris, you might enjoy meeting them. Are we surprised at all that the rabbit hole is this deep, where JP Morgan is being brought up in question, Jamie Dimon? We even have Bitcoin maxis saying, hey, we need to go after Stellar and Ripple, and we need to solve this issue because we cannot have these two players here trying to win the race against Bitcoin. I mean, it is so comical. But I said back in 2024 that everyone laughed in 2020 when Ripple was sued and XRP was targeted. In 2021, a leak started and small accounts of corruption at the SEC started to trickle out. In 2022, everyone was yelling and screaming corruption while trash talking the SEC and Gary Gensler. Then in 2023, we saw Operation Choke Point 2.0 in full effect and the warpath on crypto rage on even stronger. It is now 2024 and we have the SEC targeting DeFi as a whole and trying to cut off crucial liquidity to the space. Now, I did say that I questioned who is laughing now. This isn't a Gary Gensler problem. This is an SEC problem because, again, let's not mention that it's not just Gary Gensler that was controlled. Bill Hinman, Jay Clayton, they are all controlled. 3 prominent names at the SEC that were and are not protecting anyone besides those who line their pockets. Because again, somebody was always pulling the strings and now we could see who. What was really going on behind the scenes here is just ridiculous. But this is why when we say on this channel or anyone in the space talks about how Ripple and XRP were targeted, the facts are out there now. ETHgate was real. Ripple and XRP were targeted. XLM and Stellar were even targeted as well. This is insane. And also, by the way, let's not forget that Bitcoin was also tied in to the Epstein files. The Epstein files link him to early Bitcoin. This rabbit hole is wild. Jeffrey Epstein secretly funded MIT Media Lab via intermediaries at least $13.3 million between him and his associates. During that same window, MIT funds were used to support Bitcoin core developers when core funding was thin. Obviously, he had a hidden name, Voldemort, to hide his identity. Epstein visited MIT Media Lab around 9 times despite denying it. Also, a director of MIT Labs emailed Epstein thanking him for the used gift funds to underwrite this. Thanks. Epstein replied, Gavin is clever. And also on top of this, this was regarding one of the devs MIT was paying with Epstein's money, Gavin Andresen. For reference, this is one of the earliest and most important Bitcoin devs. Epstein held meetings at his mansion with Brock Pierce and Larry Summers to discuss Bitcoin. Between 2014 and 2018, emails showed Epstein asking Steve Bannon about crypto taxes and how to avoid campaign finance rules. I mean, they exchanged hundreds of texts with, Epstein replying on it to request. Kevin Warsh is listed in a 2010 email as a potential Epstein dinner invite. Howard Lutnick, CEO of Tether's banking partner with and Trump's Commerce Secretary, appears in 2012 travel records linked to Epstein Island as well. I mean, guys, this is just insane. I mean, this rabbit hole, you could spend probably a whole year on these, documents, finding more and more things about Bitcoin, about, targeting specific companies. I mean, this is just absolutely insane. But yeah, David Schwartz is right. This is just the tip of a giant iceberg because this is probably going to get even crazier over the coming days and weeks as more people look into these files. But one thing is clear here. We were right all along. This is shocking. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video.